How about a favorite moment, Danny Segura from the Dominators? Is there one that stands out for you?
Yeah, his first fight against Joseph Benavidez in WEC. Around that time is when I first started getting into WEC and watching them on verses and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, like there's such thing as 45ers and 35ers. Like these guys are tiny, but like they're badass fighters. And like, I know it sounds crazy now because, we see some of the biggest fights now being in those lower weight classes as well. But at the time, like it was so new to see like a 135 weight class. We just weren't used to that. And watching them compete, like you could see it was very, very high level. Man, WEC was just such a fun promotion. And that was one of those fights that got me into it. So, yeah, I'll say that's one of my favorite memories from Dominator.
That was a great one, Danny. I was at it at the Pearl, and Dominic had to resort to wrestling because every time he was moving around,
Benavidez was so
Team
fast.
Alpha Male had kind of come up with a
Yeah.
great game plan, very simple. And TJ Dillashaw was good at imitating Dominick Cruz. And so what he would do, going back to Strickland, right? Not altering his game planning. What Benavidez would do is he would let him do all his dancing, and then when he came, he would just hit him with a straight right. And so finally Dominick Cruz was like, okay, this guy's got a beat on me. I'm gonna go to my wrestling. Split decision. I thought Benavidez won, but it was a split. That's a great one, Danny. Brought back took me to memory lane there. How about you guys?
I think his win over Takeya Mizugaki. I remember just people bringing up ring rust so much, right? And him squashing that and just saying there's no such thing of that, and coming out and doing what he did after that 3-year hiatus was pretty damn impressive.
How about you, Mike Bond? A favorite Dominick Cruz memory?
Yeah, I think it's the fight after that Mizugaki fight, right? Like when he came back after the layoff, starched Mizugaki in seconds, and then I think we thought we were going to get his title fight right after that, and it ends up being another like year and a half until he faces TJ Dillashaw and goes in there. And that was such an intriguing fight because, as kind of alluded to earlier, TJ Dillashaw I think bit a little bit off Dominick Cruz's style, and it was like, has this guy not only taken his style but made it even better and more effective? And that was a really great fight. I know a lot of people thought TJ Dillashaw won, but for Dominick Cruz to go in there, get his hand raised after all the adversity, one of the great championship moments in UFC history, in my opinion. And then, all the stuff kind of outside the cage with him, I think, giving fans perspective on the sport that maybe other fighters hadn't been able to articulate up to that point. Things like, the happiest moment of my life was realizing I can be happy without being champion, and all these things. He just always gave such positive perspective on the issues he went through. So like a great voice and a great ambassador to our sport. No real controversies outside the cage, no issues with drug testing, things like that. So I think Dominick Cruz did it the right way, but I think someone said it in the chat, still goes down as one of the bigger what ifs, because you can only think, for all the greatness he achieved, what did he leave on the table through all these injuries and layoffs?
For sure. I guess for me, it's the rivalry against Team Alpha Male. I mean, he sent a lot of those guys packing. They even butted heads on a season of The Ultimate Fighter. That was pretty cool. So them just building up that rivalry. And a nice shout out to him. He did what some champions or big names choose not to do, and that's he gave someone a chance. So he's on top to pull them up, right? Casey Kenny at the time. And we haven't seen Casey Kenny in a long time, but he didn't need to fight someone like a Casey Kenny. Dustin Poirier didn't need to fight someone like a BSD, but they did, right? They gave those guys a chance, sent those guys packing. Sometimes the other guy gets over on you, like Nasruddin Mimavov. But I think all the great champions at some point need to realize you got a hand up when you were on the rise. Do that at least once, and he did it, and he won. But yeah, great career for Dominick Cruz for sure. He's going to the Hall of Fame, so we congratulate him on that.